Hi, my name is Ernesto Liébana and I'm a scientist working at the European Food Safety Authority in the field of biological hazards. Today, I will talk about Listeria infections in humans. Listeria is a bacteria found in soil, plants and water. Animals, including cattle and poultry, can also carry the bacteria. One of the 10 species of Listeria, Listeria monocytogenes, can be harmful to humans and animals and cause an infection called listeriosis. Listeria is a hardy microorganism, and like many other foodborne bacteria, it tolerates salty environments and cold temperatures as low as 2 to 4 degrees centigrade. Although listeriosis is relatively rare, the disease is often severe with high hospitalization and mortality rates. In 2011, about 1,500 cases of listeriosis with a mortality rate of 13% were found in the EU. Consumption of contaminated food is the main route of transmission to humans, and infections can also occur through contact with infected animals or people. Listeria monocytogenes can be found in many foods, and examples of these include smoked fish, cold meats, and cheeses, especially soft cheeses. It can also be found occasionally on raw vegetables. In infected people, symptoms may vary from mild flu-like symptoms, such as nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, to more serious infections, such as meningitis and other potentially life-threatening complications. Vulnerable groups are the elderly, pregnant women, and infants, as well as people with a weak immune system. The EU has established criteria for maximum levels of Listeria monocytogenes in food. Moreover, the European Commission has adopted a coordinating monitoring program aimed at quantifying the presence of Listeria in food and therefore providing data to assess the risk for public health. What can you do to prevent listeriosis? Well, safe food handling is important to prevent this infection, and there are some things you can do to avoid infection. Store food safely. Avoid storing products in the fridge beyond the use-by date, and keep the temperature of your fridge low. Cook meat and poultry properly. Wash fruits and vegetables. Wash hands, knives, and cutting boards after handling raw foods. Finally, always keep raw foods from touching other foods and utensils.
Good day, my name is Ervin and Jasmin. The topic that I'm discussing is all about listeriosis. Listeriosis mostly targets pregnant women and their newborns because they need to eat a lot to gain nutrients to support the baby inside their womb. Next, adult ages 65 or older, because older people need to eat certain foods that will help them to support their needs. And lastly, people with weakened immune system. Next is the history. Listeriosis happened approximately 60 years before and first known as cause of epidemics and sporadic cases. Some 50 species of animals and caused by the soil-borne bacterium Listeria monocytogenes. And lastly is the outbreak of listeriosis that happened first at South Africa and has been ongoing since the start of 2017.
The topic I am about to discuss is about symptoms, duration, diagnosis and treatment, and the prevention of listeriosis. Listeriosis can cause a variety of symptoms, depending on the person and the part of the body affected. Person with listeriosis infection might experience headache, stiff neck, confusion, loss of balance, and convulsion, in addition to fever and muscle pains. she might experience fever and flu-like symptoms like fatigue and muscle aches. However, it can lead to miscarriage, stillbirth, premature delivery, and life-threatening infection of the newborn baby. Symptoms of invasive listeriosis usually takes 1 to 4 weeks after intake to show up. Some even show up the same day or 70 days after exposure. Usually, listeriosis are diagnosed when a bacterial culture grows Listeria monocytogenes from a body tissue or fluid. Do not drink raw milk or eat food with unpasteurized milk in them. Wash hands and kitchen utensils after handling or preparing raw foods. Clean raw foods thoroughly. Keep uncooked meat, poultry, and seafoods separate from vegetables, fruits, and cooked foods. Thoroughly cook raw foods from animal sources to save internal temperature. Consume perishable and ready-to-eat foods as soon as possible. And persons in higher risk groups should eat hot dogs, cold cuts, and deli meats before eating.
Have you ever had a big ol' salad or a juicy burger and then thought, I don't feel too good? Congratulations! You may have an E. coli infection. Now, E. coli actually live in the intestines of healthy humans and animals. For the most part, they're harmless bacteria, but some strains can cause big trouble. There are several strains infamous for causing bodily harm, including the ones containing a toxin called Shiga. When you consume E. coli contaminated food or liquids, Shiga messes with the cells lining your intestines, which can lead to diarrhea, either mild or extremely severe and bloody, fever, cramps, and sometimes vomiting. About 5 to 10% of people infected with Shiga toxin-producing E. coli can develop
hemolytic uremic syndrome,
which is when bacteria gets into the bloodstream and damages blood vessels. This can cause kidney failure, especially in children and older people. So how do you actually come into contact with E. coli that'll make you sick? Usually, it's through preparing your food incorrectly. The E. coli in cattle's intestines can mix with the beef when they're slaughtered. So if you eat undercooked beef, you could contract a gnarly strain of E. coli. Sometimes the germs from cattle's waste can contaminate produce, like lettuce. And since you probably don't cook your lettuce, which would kill the E. coli, you can get sick. The same goes for drinking contaminated water, raw milk, or cheese made from raw milk. The E. coli can get into the milk from the cow's udder or anywhere else on the farm and stay there if the milk isn't heated enough to kill the bacteria, which is known as a process called pasteurization. In general, you can get an infection from eating or drinking anything that's been contaminated by fecal matter. Yup. You have to watch out for other people too. You can be in a world of hurt if an infected person doesn't wash their hands after using the restroom and then handles your food. If you don't wash your hands after touching a farm animal, like at a petting zoo, that's another way you can get sick. So wash your hands, you nasties! Unfortunately, there's no vaccine that can prevent an E. coli infection, but there are ways you can protect yourself. Cook ground beef to an internal temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit to kill any lingering bacteria. Drink pasteurized milk, which should be free of those bad strains. Wash raw fruits and vegetables, especially leafy greens, thoroughly. Lastly, avoid cross-contamination. So don't use the same knife, cutting board, or utensils on raw meat that you'd use when preparing something like a salad. And please wash your hands, people. Please. Please wash your hands.
Today, my name is Trisha and Pabico, and the topic that I will be discussing is all about E. coli. Escherichia coli, known as E. coli, is a bacteria that can be formed in human intestinal
E.Coli is E.Coli 0157, and it is the most common and dangerous because it produces toxin known as Shiga. Shiga can cause intestinal infections that are found in feces and urine, and most people recover within 6 to 8 days. E.Coli was discovered by Theodor von Eckert, a German bacteriologist, in the year 1885. Not all strains of E.Coli are harmful to humans, but some strains of E.Coli infections can include nausea, vomiting, and fever. But there are certain types of E.Coli that can lead to kidney failure. This is the outbreak of E.Coli 0157, and it started at Western United States. That began in late 1992 and lasted to 1996. It was linked to the consumption of hamburgers served by the Junk in the Box restaurant chain. It came from the contaminated beef and from the uncooked hamburgers. But there are no trace where slaughterhouses it came from.
Good day. My name is Joana Mae Guzon, and the topic that I will be discussing is all about the causes of E.Coli. Humans can be infected by the following. First, swallowing contaminated water. Example is drinking from the tap water. And cooked meat are chopped in the same chopping board without cleaning it, and that causes cross-contamination of food. Third, person-to-person contact. People share the same food and has contact with each other's saliva. And lastly, contact with animals. E.Coli may cause illness to humans including diarrhea, abdominal pain, fever, and vomiting. The next topic that I will be discussing is all about the risk factor. Some people who are more likely to be affected of E.Coli-related illness. People with weak immune system. E.Coli mostly targets people with a weak immune system because their body cannot handle the infection caused by the bacteria. Next, patient with decreased stomach acid because acid can help fight the bacteria found in our body. Lastly, young children and old people because the development of their immune system is not yet complete, and as people get older, their immune system decreases, resulting to slow their function.
Good day. My name is Abegail Gonzales, and the topic that I will be discussing is all about the treatment and prevention of E.Coli. E.Coli 0157 can be cured through plenty of rest and should drink a lot of water to prevent dehydration, and antibiotics are not allowed. Some tips can help prevent infection with E.Coli and other pathogens. These include cooking meat well, especially ground meat, drink pasteurized milk, apple juice, and cider, washing vegetables, especially leafy green ones, ensuring that cutlery and crockery are thoroughly washed with warm and soapy water. Storing meat and non-meat food separately and using separate cutting board. Following good hand hygiene practices.